Hi, my name is Diana Contreras. I'm a local artist here in Miami. I was born in Peru but raised in Miami, and you'll see my murals all over um, Miami, especially like Little Havana. I have some in Wynwood, Little Havana, Little Haiti, some in Kendall, so Hialeah, so all over. And I hope to do more around the world, especially when the pandemic gets better.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm also a art teacher here in Dade County Schools. I teach art magnet to your nephew,
Yes.
and I'm also a mom. I have 2 kids and a husband.
You do it all. You
Thank
do
you.
it all. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you're here. You're
Me
like,
too.
yes, a real artist. I'm so starstruck. I was telling you earlier, I was gonna say offline. Oh my god, how old am I? Before we started recording, that a friend of mine has one of your pieces. And she was the one that kind of like pointed me towards you, and your work is so amazing.
Thank
I
you.
love it. I love it. So, when did you start painting?
I started painting in elementary school with an art class, painting oceans, I would paint like mermaids and sea life and then cactuses. So like it all started in school with like they would enter my art in competitions and I would win awards, and that was kind of like wow, I may have something.
That was the spark.
Yeah, that was kind of like what gave me my like knowledge of that I could do this.
Right. Are there any artists, not artists, but like, people that do art in your family, or you were the first one?
I'm the first one. There's definitely creative people like my grandfather. He would do leather, like he would do designs on leather. So he
Oh,
would do like
wow.
belts and things like that
That
for
has a
like
name. Can't recall. That
um
it's not embossing. Somebody tell us in the comments but I know what you're talking about. And it's really, really difficult.
yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
So
it's
he would do
intricate.
that, very intricate.
Yeah.
So I he would do that, and then so like my family has the artistic ability, and then my other grandfather, they told me that he would also paint. But they all lived in Peru when I came here when I was 5, so I didn't get to like really see them do it. But I did it in a more like fine art way, and
It's in your DNA.
yeah. But like my mom, my dad, they don't do art. Like they never, they didn't think that that's like a possibility, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you never hear like now as a parent, right? Like if your kid tells you, "I want to be an artist," you're like, "Oh my god, you're gonna be hungry for the
that's
rest
what
of your
exactly. That's
life."
what my
That's what
family
you
thought.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't know, like, and so in my mind, growing up, I always thought that, like, oh, it's like, that's a hobby. It's a hobby, like it's fun, but that's not a job. And then now, that's why I became an educator. I became an art teacher. Because that was like the closest thing I can get away with my family.
Right.
And then I started to see like Winwood happen, and like all my friends that like did graffiti and started, being able to get like shows and make money off their art. And I was like, wow, like, and then once I entered into that world and got to know more artists, there's like so many jobs that we don't know about that
Really.
take creative. There's so many jobs available for artists in like a lot in so many industries, and even being able to just think outside the box and be creative, like that's very important for many businesses, and all types of businesses. They all always want somebody who can think outside of the box and be
Hmm.
creative and problem solve, and that's all like in art.
That's
So I
true.
didn't know that. I didn't know. They're not like so. It's not like a firefighter, like a police
Right.
officer, a teacher. It's like other jobs that I didn't even know were possible.
I'm learning this right now from you.
Yeah,
I
there's
had no
so many.
idea.
Yeah, there's so much. And Miami right now is becoming such a center for the arts. So there's so much jobs. I have to give jobs away. I give jobs away all the time to my friends. Like,
Because
oh,
you
because
can't keep up.
I can't keep up. And it's a lot. It's not just me. It's a lot of artists I know. They're just giving, can you do this? I'm so busy, with work. So
That's nice though that you guys look out for each other.
yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah. It's
That's
just, I think it's like a small, community. Like everybody knows each other. And
right.
so it's nice.
So, so you mentioned that you chose to be an educator as your safe plan.
Yes, that
So
was exactly.
that's so interesting because you usually see people choosing as their safe plans like something much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like correlated to art,
Uh-huh.
but you've it makes so much sense that you put those two together
Yeah.
because what's that saying? Those who can't do teach,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
That's what they say, but
Yeah.
obviously you've proven that
I
that's not
know. I know.
true.
I mean, I hated that phrase. I hated
I
that. So I was like, I'm gonna
right?
prove them wrong. And a lot, like in the beginning, before I got noticed or paid attention to, people would always tell me like, "Oh, you're a teacher. You're not an artist." Even from school, like when I went to FIU,
Really?
like because I
You
was
went to
majoring.
FIU?
Yeah,
Me too. That's my alma
yeah.
mater. Oh, that's
So I was
awesome.
majoring in art, and then I switched to education, and then when I was
Oof.
doing art, they were very like into conceptual art, and it's more about the idea, not the art. They didn't care for like traditional or figurative art, which
Hmm.
is what I love to do. They were more like the idea, like
The idea of like the
the
meaning
like
behind
what
the
yeah the
art.
meaning, like what is the
Oh
meaning. It
Lord.
doesn't matter, it could be like a paperclip, but it has a lot of meaning. And I wanted to like paint
I'm
like
sorry. I don't mean to
no,
be
but this
disrespectful to
this
the
is
artists
art.
that use a paperclip.
Yeah, like for example, this is a true story. Like one of my classmates like collected a whole bunch of things, they objects from the ground on his walk to his house from work or something, and it was like the journey. And they were like, "Oh my god, this is incredible,
Genius.
genius." And then me, that were
Why
like, I
doesn't
was
anybody
painting.
tell me that? I collect rocks.
Yeah, anything could be art, but like I
Right?
didn't. That wasn't fun for me. Like I wanted to paint like a face. I wanted to paint a flower, and they didn't accept it as good art. So I switched to art education, and then they were kind of like, "Oh, you're not an artist, so do whatever you want." They kind of left me alone, which made me happy, and I could do whatever I
Wow.
wanted. And they wouldn't really. They kind of left me alone to do what I wanted, and I would be painting all the time. I would. One of my friends was majoring in art, and she would never use her studio, so she let me move in there, and I would be there all the time painting, painting, painting. And she was an art major, who's not doing art right now, and I was the non-artist painting all the time.
Who didn't allow the naysayers into her head.
Yeah, and
I
and
love
and
that.
afterwards too, like when I was trying to like get shows and stuff, like they were like, "Oh, you're a teacher, like you're not an artist. If you were really an artist, you would quit teaching and like take the leap, you
Ooh.
know." And I still hear it, but I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I know who I am, and I know,
Yeah.
and there are things that I love about teaching, like
Mm,
the kids. I love being able to give back.
right.
Like I always, even if I wasn't teaching, I love like being able to give back, and what I know, like just like it's not just for me, it's for the community and other people. So I'll always do that, even if I'm not teaching. I don't like the schedule of having to be somewhere at the same time every day. I love like the freedom of
Right.
traveling and like and that. So,
That's
but that's what the summers are good.
I was gonna say that I guess yeah, you have the summers
As summers in
and like the
the
little
Christmas.
Christmas break that
Yeah.
once you get used to it, it's gone, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it must feel like to have the liberty of the artist lifestyle and then for 9 months be confined to like you said, like a
Yeah.
the schedule.
Yeah. It's
That's
hard.
tough.
It's tough.
It's
It's
like
tough.
once you taste that freedom and then you gotta go back.
I know. But
Ooh.
the good, I mean, the thing that also is like that steady paycheck,
Hmm.
where like when you're teaching, every 2 weeks you're going to get a certain amount, where when you're an artist, freelance artist, it's a hustle.
Yeah,
And sometimes I'm just too tired to like hustle, and I want to like take a break, but like you never know. Like you don't know when it's going to stop, because a lot of times things are so great, but you don't know.
that's
It's
true.
not stable, I think. You just have to like reinvent yourself, find another way, because one day I'm gonna be like too old to climb ladders, and
Oh
so I have to find like another way
no!
to still do what I love.
How old was Michelangelo when he did the
I
Sistine
know,
Chapel?
right?
Right, it's gonna be you.
I think
That's
so.
you gotta
I think
find a way
so.
to get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't even have the switch, right? Like well, not right,
Like
of
a
course.
candle?
It wasn't like electric.
No, no,
So he
no.
had to literally
Yeah, they had to
climb
like lay
the
down. I think they had
scaffolding.
to like yeah, like lay down and like paint like
Oh
that.
my
But he had like
God.
a lot of assistance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Oh my goodness. No, yeah. Don't ever stop painting.
No,
That a lot of people would be sad.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm too old for this, you know,
No.
like, but it's not just that because I'm a mom now too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just that is, you know, a lot, a lot. I
Yeah.
never knew because I was a teacher for a long time, so I thought like, oh, I handle 26 kids, like I'll be fine with two,
I know. That's
but
what
it's
I
not the
said
same
too.
when you are with them all the time. They're like
And when they're
yours.
yours, you can't give them
Yeah,
back. You can be like, okay, see you tomorrow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same time, same place.
Yeah.
No, they never leave. They're always
They're
there.
always there.
And
My
then,
daughter like opens my eyes. Like,
yeah,
wake up, open it. Doesn't care.
I know. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like that was one of the biggest like aha moments of being a mom. To like having kids really makes you take a look at yourself
Mm-hmm.
in ways that I don't think I otherwise would have. It's
Yeah.
yeah, those little people.
No, they're so cute.
They're so cute and so terrible
I
in the best
don't want
way.
them. I'm like, please stop growing. My son is 4. My daughter's 2.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god,
don't stay.
they're
So
such a
cute.
cute
I know, right? It's
age.
so fun. They're
Oh,
so fun. And he gets to go to school with me now, so it's nice. I could have lunch with him if I want. You know, I could see him whenever I want.
yeah. Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best. I wanted to ask you about your style. It's obviously very unique, and I want you to tell us how you got to that point.
Yes. For a long time, I didn't think I had a style, and it bothered me. I was like, you know, I went to school like for art, and I studied art, so I learned like so many different styles. I learned how to copy master, so I learned all different styles, and I feel like I didn't have my own style. But I think I love to do kind of like illustrative, like painterly kind of thing. I was mixing things that I've learned together, and it was kind of like semi-realistic. And then once I started to do street art and spray paint, I think like that combination of learning that and with my traditional art like merged became my style, like my signature style. So all things I learned in street art and like from watching other artists and being out there and experimenting with spray paint and like dripping and rollers combined with my like traditional education like together became my style, and it was something that I repeated like over and over and over. And then I started to see, wow, like I guess I do have a style. Like that became, because for a long time I didn't think I did. I was like trying to force it, like,
Right.
but I think just be like let go and like be natural, like it just becomes its own
Right,
thing.
organically.
Organically, yeah.
It's I I love, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that it's obviously realistic because you can see it's like a real face, but then it has these like very mythical elements.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like it makes me think of like mermaids or fairies or something like that. And
Yeah,
I'm
those are
just like,
two things that my teacher was like, I never want to see mermaids or fairies. I
really?
would do it all the time. When I was in high school, I would draw mermaids and fairies all the time. But it's funny because they would say, listen not to do it. And I understand now that they wanted me to try other things. But then when I was free, when I finished school and I was free to do what I wanted, it's like I went back to that with all the things that I learned. So I just kind of just added another layer to my art.
That's amazing. So is there a specific reason why you like those two?
I don't know. I mean, I've been painting I've been drawing mermaids forever. I don't know why. I
Okay,
like
here's a
combining
serious
things.
question. Do you think they're real?
I hope so.
Me too.
But I feel like if they're real, look like fish.
They
Which
would
is
look
not.
yucky.
Yeah, that's
No.
what I think. I think they would look. They wouldn't look human. There was a time where I really thought they both were real fairies and mermaids, and I was like researching, like looking up books and stuff.
Oh my god.
I
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
my kids obviously believe in fairies and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want it to end. Don't. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But okay, going back to this serious art. I just had to ask you that question because
Yeah.
it's not you don't come across every day somebody that likes mermaids too.
Yeah, there's a book that I love. It's called Pressed Fairy Book, and
Yeah.
it like the way they tell the story is like that the person would catch fairies and like squish them, like press them. So the
That sounds
it's
morbid.
I know, but it does. But when you look at the book, it's beautiful, like kind of like pressed flowers.
Oh
It's like
wow.
beautiful illustration of like fairies like squished, like being caught like in the
Oh, I'm
air,
gonna
and
have
it's
to find that
I don't
now.
want to get it again. It's a beautiful, like the illustration is beautiful, and the idea of like that the real pressed book that the girl would catch
Yeah.
fairies in her book.
Well, I think it was in the and don't quote me because I'm probably not remembering correctly, but it was like 1910 or 1920s. There was this reputable. I don't remember if he was an author or photographer, but his kids or his neighbors, somebody around him claimed that they found fairies, and he took pictures. And for the longest time, there was like this proof that fairies were real. And
Oh.
then like the girls grew up, and one of them confessed that like it was like an optical illusion that they had
Mm-hmm.
made with like a cutout and the picture and the whole thing, and it was all fake. And I was like,
Oh.
boo,
Oh.
totally like ruined my excitement.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this book is written like it really happened. Like this is just like a copy of the real,
I
but
love
like
it.
I love it too 'cause it made you really believe. Like,
Yeah,
gosh, and it
that's
was like in England, and like it was
yeah,
old. Like I think it was maybe it was the same girls. It was like at that time,
maybe. Who knows? I'm gonna have to look
1910.
that up now.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to get it again.
totally. So, I sorry, this thing's in the way. The eternal fight between me and this microphone. It's never gonna end. Um, what would you say art does for you besides a profession, like personally?
Oh yeah, personally, it really heals me. It's like my way to, because I was always like very, very shy and like I wouldn't like speak and communicate. So I think like through the visual, like art and like making like the process of making it and
Mhm.
even like the images, but more like the process of making it like heals me. And I really like when one time I had like a really bad breakup, and that was kind of like how I started to go back to art because I didn't know what else to do with myself. Like I didn't know what to do with my thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a paint. I had like this big. I still have it. It hasn't sold, but it's a big painting of a heart. And every time I would feel something, I would like add to it,
Oh
and I
wow.
would like paint it like rough. I would like change the colors. I would like cut it up. Like however I was feeling, I would just like do it on the canvas, and it was a heart shape. So then like until finally like now where I feel like so whole and complete and like happy, like my heart is like kind of like I left it like at peace. It has like little flowers, like it's like
Oh
at
my
peace,
god.
you
I
know.
love
So
that
like it was like a
story.
10-year painting of like emotions. So definitely I use it like
It's
as a
like your Mona
healing.
Lisa.
Yeah, it's like a diary. It's like a journal, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh
So
wow.
I would write things on it, you know, and it was like I like that it was like an image of a heart because it
Mhm.
really like helped me to see like this is how I'm feeling. I'm letting it out, you know, and I definitely felt better afterwards. So like art therapy.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it sounds like you really put it to good use.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you think that it would be bad to be in your feelings in that headspace for so
Mhm.
long,
Mhm.
but I think if you do it like that, you know, it's therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely. Cause and I like to because I always like to do like positive art, like happy art, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I have a I so even when things are like hard, even like with the pandemic, like right now I just when the 2020 happened, I did a piece of like a mural of a girl. It's like full bodied girl, and she has like little bandages, and like out of the bandages there's flowers like
Yes.
growing out of it, like representing like hope, you know, like we will heal through this. So like I
Yeah.
always like even though like we go through hard times, always try to like leave a positive message for myself and everybody, and I always try to
Yeah.
find like good or beauty in like everything.
I think
So
that's so amazing. Yeah, you can't not look at your art and not feel good.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. It's instant. Like when I started to see your work, it was like immediate. Like, oh my god, this is beautiful, and you
Um,
start to experience all these positive emotions. Like,
yeah.
and then you start like questions like, oh, I wonder why does it look like a fairy? Does she
Yeah,
believe in fairies? Like,
yeah.
what does this mean?
That's so it's great to hear that. I remember doing critiques like in school and where every kid was doing a critique and I remember when it was my turn, like the whole class was like, "Yay!" Like so and then the teacher was like, "Oh my gosh, what do you like why do you guys like this so much?" And like people
Yeah.
were like the colors or makes you feel happy, whatever and it was such a contrast to like my professors that were like, "This is not art," This is
Really?
yeah, like they didn't consider art, and the artist. What I learned is that art is very subjective, and it's just your opinion, and what you think is
Right.
good art is your opinion, because art can be anything. And I try to teach that to my kids. And what I love about being an art teacher is that as an artist, I know how they feel, and I know them, and I've been there, and I'm them, so I can really talk to them from like experience. Like, so every time, because I like to enter them in all the shows, and if they don't get in, I always give them the speech like, you know what, guys, like art is subjective. We're gonna have a new group of judges next time, and then depending on what they love, that's how they choose,
Right.
the ones. And that doesn't mean that you're not an artist or you're not good or whatever. Like, okay, like I don't want them to feel like rejection isn't gonna happen because it's not part
Hmm.
of life, but I want them to be able to like not take it to the heart.
Yeah.
That doesn't stop because that didn't stop me.
Thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
It's
I can't be stopped though. I love it so much, and I do it for me, like
right.
that therapy. So it's like no matter what you tell me, like I can't stop.
I love that. I love that. That's such a good lesson. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I never understood that. Art is subjective, so who makes the rules? Like who gets to say like tell you like no, that's not art.
I
I
think
never
it's
got that.
I know, I think it's like people like in like I guess museums, people like up there that they whatever they decide. But what I love about like street art and the social media is that like artists have taken their own power or empower
Right.
themselves through it and like have had their own show. Like what I met this artist Julia Rivera who she was a full time artist. The first person I ever met in real life that was a full time artist, and she would do her own shows and she would sell out and she didn't care about having a guy represent her. And this is before social media. And social media that gave me like empowered me because if I'm like I'm very shy and I would post one thing, but everybody would share it and say that it was so cool. So then that's how it like spread and like I
Right.
got attention. But I've been doing art forever. It wasn't until like
Yeah.
like I don't even know because I've been doing art forever and no one really cared. And then I did one mural in Winwood, I guess the right place, the right time. And then like everybody cared. And I was getting like emails from like Huffington Post and New Times. And I was like, why? Like, I've been doing this forever.
Why?
Like
Because
I,
it's awesome.
yeah, but like it was just so unexpected because I have been doing it
Right.
forever. And
Yeah, you're like, I've been here this whole
this whole
time.
time,
Where have you
exactly,
guys been?
exactly. This whole time I've been doing this. Like I don't see anything like, so amazing. And yeah, that got some, and then people like start to, I guess, like they read those things like, oh, and then they get like influenced. But really, I think art is so personal.
Yeah.
Like it has to make you happy. Like I bet art that makes me happy, that I love. I don't care like if it's not cool or popular or whatever. If I
Right.
like it, a lot of people follow trends like with fashion and everything. But
That's
I've always
true.
been like you have to like it and you make your own decisions. And so with social media and with street art, artists are doing like their own thing.
Right.
Like street art was so underground. Now it's getting like attention and popular, and people are making like museum of graffiti and like different places to show it. But these artists have been doing their own thing forever. Do what makes them happy.
So my voice. Just gonna have to edit that out. um, so you went to school. You were told like, no, that's not art. You're not gonna be an artist. Blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah,
So you thought, okay, I'm gonna be a teacher,
yeah.
and then you continued doing art, right?
Yeah,
Regardless,
yeah. I mean, like I did it for myself, and then through
right?
social media,
People started
like
sharing
sharing
it.
it. Yeah, like I
That's
would post like I painted this today, like um And then people started to share it, and then people wanted me to paint like their like kids, and like I would do portraits for people. And um when I did and through social media, somebody wanted me to commission me to do a mural for their store in Wynwood
Mm-hmm.
in like 2012.
Oh
And
wow.
that was like, I never had done a mural before. And I was like, of course I could do this. And it was like a 15-foot wall.
Oh my
And like, I
goodness.
didn't even know how to use spray paint or like the equipment to do that. But I figured I would figure it out. And I did. And all the artists around were like, what world class artists, like known artists. So I didn't want to be like the worst mural in the block. So I really like after school, after my teaching job, I would just like go there at night and I would paint for like 2 weeks. And then everybody started to see it. And it was something different because at that time, there wasn't many female artists painting
Yeah.
out there or like, murals out there. And mine was just a really like feminine, like woman like this with her like little black dress and her like pink bow and like pink everywhere. So it was very different from like all the other murals. So it stood out.
Yeah.
And then people were like, who wanted to know who painted it, because I didn't know anybody in that scene. I didn't know anybody in like the street
Right.
art scene. So that was like really cool. That was what changed everything. Like that one mural like opened doors for like
That's
a gallery
amazing.
representation for like I didn't even have social media at the time. Like I had to like open up an Instagram. So it like changed like it kind of like made my career. Like that was really like what gave me confidence, you know, like this could really be something that I could do as a job.
Exactly. That's
So
amazing. So tell me about that first show. Your
the
first real show for
I had a show where I sold my first painting before like that. That I felt like wow, I sold I sold a painting, which was in Little Havana, which was like 2009. And then when I did my mural in 2012, that's when I started having like shows like with like artists I admire,
oh,
like
that's so
Alex Yanes
exciting.
and like Lebo and like all these artists I look up to. Like I was in the show with them, and I couldn't believe, it was amazing. It was just an honor just to be there. So that was really good to have in the gallery. They would just sell it for me. They would just keep asking me to paint something, stuff. So that was really great. Like way of my work being seen all the time, and then somebody else selling it for me, so I don't have to like worry about that because most artists don't like to
Yeah.
think about that. They just like to make the art. So that was really great.
I know that must be really nerve-wracking to have to like deal with that side of it
Yeah,
and
because they don't
keeping
teach you
track
that
of
in art. They don't teach you like the business of art.
right.
They teach you had like
And
one class,
how are you
which
supposed
was
to make money?
yeah, like how do you make money off this? They teach you
Yeah.
like all the skills to make the art, but then like how do you? Because you're a small business and like you never learned that part of it. So a lot of like really talented artists like never do anything with it, or
Hmm.
and then people who are business savvy
I
that
never thought of
maybe
that.
not be as good like as an artist, but they're business savvy, like can be very successful and like be able to live off their art.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely never thought of that.
Yeah, I didn't think
That's
about
so
that until it
true.
happened. Until like
And
the
then
time came. Like, wait, how do I sell this? How much do I sell it for? Like, what do I do?
yeah, and like do you need an agent? Is there a middleman? Does somebody make
We
sure that you get
wish.
paid?
Yeah, like I mean, I think if there was like a trustworthy person, I think artists would love that. But it's hard to find somebody that you like can trust
Right.
to like sell your stuff and be like very like very like good with it, like loyal and like honest. It's hard.
Oh, yeah.
But there are some I mean galleries that represent you, they'll do that. And I think once you get higher in the art world, there's people that want to represent you and sell your work for you. But
That's
I don't
nice.
think there's a lot of them. So right now, I saw my own stuff mostly,
Right.
and most artists I know do the same. So like
Hmm.
you have to learn.
You have to
You
figure it
have
out
to figure it out.
so
Yeah.
that you can pay for food and art supplies.
Yeah.
um, so what is your process like? Because it looks very intricate.
Oh,
From my
for my
point of
art.
view, it looks very like it takes ages to do.
Yeah, well, I usually like when I do a mural, like I usually like to do like a sketch, like an idea of what I'm gonna do. I like to like find references on like Pinterest or like Google, like idea different images that I sketch it out, and now I know how to use the iPad. So then I put on the iPad, and then with iPad, it's so easy to just like play around with colors and composition. So after that, then I once I have like my idea, then try to I do it on the wall, but I also give myself like the freedom to like change it or like add something or because the last wall I just did, um, I painted it and then I saw this like orchid garden outside. I'm like, it needs more orchids, so then I like added
Oh,
more
that's so
orchids
nice.
and like I always like what's around like definitely influences the my public art.
That's so
Um,
cool.
but I like to be like, yeah, like with I like to have like a plan, but I don't mind getting off and like being intuitive and just
Right. So
going
you're
with the
definitely a
flow.
teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because that's how it is in the classroom. Like you have a plan and
Oh
all of a
yeah.
sudden,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it
Being
kind of like
yeah.
derails.
Yeah, you have to be very flexible as a teacher. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so
definitely.
interesting how
But I like to have a
your
plan.
lives are like not your lives. Your two
My
lives
two
get
lives.
intertwined.
Yeah.
That's so true. Oh my goodness. So, how long like well, obviously I understand it depends on like the size and everything, but how long do you give yourself like a time frame or
Yes.
yeah.
I do because it helps me to finish things. I used to have a problem with never finishing anything. I would have like 10 paintings like unfinished because I would have like a new idea or like I'm inspired with anything else. Definitely. I like to give myself deadlines. Um, it helps me focus. It helps me to like, and I usually meet them, which makes me feel great. Like, yes,
I did
my
it.
own deadlines in my head.
That's awesome.
And even for like, I tell people like for like production of my art, I give myself fake deadlines. Like, oh, I have a show like in 3 months, so which I don't. But I will pretend that I do. So I'll work like every week. I have to finish one painting. So I just I'm always like productive. I'm always like ready for that opportunity. When something comes up, it's like, oh, I have new paintings right here. I'm ready.
Nice. Have you ever experienced like sitting down to paint and not having anything like in your inspiration wise in your mind?
Yeah, it hasn't happened. It used to happen a lot. And I would never. I need to be inspired. I would never paint because I was always like, I don't know what to paint. But I think it's the practice of it. I
Mhm.
think like doing it every day, even if it's like garbage or whatever. I think that is like such an
Yeah.
important thing, just to like not just go with it and just do something a
Right.
day, and that the thing that keeps the creativity like flowing and the practice
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
like a muscle, right? Like the more you
Exactly.
exercise it, the easier it
Exactly.
becomes.
So that's why I feel like I haven't had that I don't remember in years, where like before I would always have it, like always be like blank. I'm going
Right.
through like a artist block or artist block.
I have a crisis.
But I think like the practice and just not being afraid of just doing like
Hmm.
a blob or a line, and not having to have a masterpiece every time, but just like the practice of creating something or
Hmm.
of doing, you have to just do it. And
Yeah.
then I think it maintains like that muscle.
Right. We see so many artists trying to depict or only create when they're going through a difficult time or they're trying to show the more painful, ugly side of life. How do you
Mm-hmm.
manage to stay positive in your art? That's difficult,
uh,
I would assume.
um, I think it's just how I try to be, like just how I try to in my
Hmm.
personal life as a person, just try to like be positive and try to like have a different perspective on things, like always a positive perspective. It took a long time to get there
Yeah.
because for a long time I was very negative and I have very dark paintings. Like I don't show anybody. um but I just didn't want to be like down. I didn't want to be so negative. I didn't want to be like depressed. I didn't want to be that way. So I think always looking at like the positive side of things is just how I think.
And it's a challenge,
And yeah,
which
but the
is
same thing,
fun.
like the muscle of like
Yeah.
doing it, and being like just being thankful for what you have
Hmm.
and everything. Just so I think like how like who you are like comes out in your art. So if
Right.
you're like that, it's gonna come out. So I think because I'm that way, it
Hmm.
just naturally happens. Like I don't try hard anymore. Before I used to try very hard, But I feel like now it's become more like a natural and just like
Right.
constant.
Yes, I'm sure like also like the older you get and the more you know who you are, it also
Definitely.
probably helps
Yeah. I
to.
mean, I didn't start doing the art until like I got into my 30s. When I was 20, I was all like, I was all everywhere. In my 30s, I was like, okay, like, what is my purpose? What is this? Why do I have this gift? Like, all these questions and like starting to like
That's so
doing
interesting.
them. And my 30s is, and people think like, oh, that's so old. And I thought that was so old too. And like, now I'm
That's not
like, wow,
old.
I know. Now I'm like, that's so young. Like, I have, people like, I've learned of people starting things in their 60s and 80s,
Yeah.
and becoming like doing amazing things. Um, so yeah, like in my 30s is when I started to like when that happened, when like I did
Mhm.
that mural, stepped out of my comfort zone and
That's so cool. Yeah, it's I don't understand and I get why we place those age limits on ourselves, but really is are they even real?
mm-mm.
Like the only time it's too late is when you're dead.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
here, so why not? You
Yeah.
know?
But that like that really like empowered me, like
Yeah.
seeing how like you can do something and it goes so well. It like just gives you confidence to like let's try something else. Let's see, how that goes. And
Yeah.
it just going for it, like trying like street art and trying to spray paint. I didn't know how to. I had to teach myself, and then now like I won an iPad at this Apple competition. This
Nice.
drawing, which I didn't know how to. I'm very bad at technology. I don't know how to use
Same.
any of that stuff. And they were like, "Oh, do you know? Do you want to do this iPad battle? Do you want to do it?" Like, yes, yes. I'll do it. Do you know how to use it? Yes. And like I went and I asked my friend and like I would practice and then I ended up like
Cuz
winning.
okay, I think I just realized the contest was drawing on the iPad.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the contest was that you won an
And then I
iPad,
won it and then you win
but you
it.
had to draw on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We
Lord.
had a draw and it was crazy because this it was like at a beautiful Apple in like Aventura, and there was
Yeah, I think they
gigantic
have the big
screens.
Apple store there,
Yeah, and they
right?
had
Yeah.
gigantic screens. Everybody to look at you, what you're drawing, your
Oh, me
little
muero.
thing. I
I
know.
can't.
I
I
was like
can't.
sweating. I was like, oh my God. Went blank and I was sweating because it was a new thing for me. And um I mean it was like teams and my partner was amazing. Brian Butler was amazing. So he was like, "Oh, it's okay." Like I'm like he helped me get through it and then we ended up winning and ever since
So
then I got to use the iPad. But like I love that I'm able to try things even though I'm
you don't
scared.
limit yourself.
I don't.
And I think that's a lesson we all need to learn.
Yeah, it's a great.
Because so many times, right? Like we go, "Oh, I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm too old, or I should have done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do it all the time, and then I catch myself like, why? Why am I
Yeah.
talking to me like this? I don't talk
Yeah.
to other people like this. Why do
Exactly.
I
You have to
talk to
talk.
me like
Yeah.
this?
I started to think too of myself. Like,
Yeah.
I would talk to myself like if I was my friend. Like, what would I
Yes.
say? And like, just that
Exactly.
whole perspective change, like
Yeah.
changing the way I think. And that really, and like I said, like, once with art, like how well it's gone, like, really just, I think it's made everything, made me think anything is possible, you
Yes.
know? I met my husband while painting a mural, like so like everything just
Is
like
he an
opened
artist
up.
too?
He does like
That's
graffiti,
that's so
which he's like that's
cool.
not art, but I think
I beg to
he
differ.
also draws. He also draws.
Oh my
But
goodness, that's so cool. So your kids are getting it from both sides.
yes, my
They're
son
gonna
is
be
really good. He's 4. He's
oof,
really really good. Um and they both go with me to the studio and we all paint together because I
they're
have
so
like deadlines
cool.
that I make for myself. So they go in there and if you go, you should come one day. They have
I
like,
I will be there.
yeah, they
All
have
of
like
us, even the
little
dog. I'm
painting.
kidding. Don't bring the dog.
My daughter has like painting and like they help me and like I don't mind that they like paint on my stuff and it's like
Yeah,
let's do it together, let's collaborate and
that's so cool that
it's
you're
just really
passing that
fun.
on to them.
Yeah.
They're gonna they're gonna be like
They
so, because that's such a big part of making you calm, right? Like to
mm-hmm.
have something like a hobby, even if let's say they
Yeah.
don't pursue it, but to have a hobby that you know you can go to like be with yourself and be okay. Right? It's so
Yeah.
important. That's so cool.
Yeah, and they're really, really good. I'm just like, wow.
I can imagine. I
I'm
mean,
just
with
like
two parents
amazed.
like that,
But
like
like
that
I
is,
didn't like I didn't like sit down and like teach him things like, oh, this is how you do this.
yeah,
But like I guess him just observing has picked up a lot, and he's just
it's in his
amazing. It's
DNA. He
amazing.
can't help it. He's gonna be a star.
He's so great.
Oh my god, that's so cool. So what? Obviously, we talked about the benefits of art. What would you say to somebody that wants to experience those benefits, but somebody like me that can't even draw? What? what like? What do you say to people that could really like benefit from art therapy, but feel like, why am I even going to try? I can't even make a straight line or a circle.
Well, I mean, I think everybody doodles. I mean, like, like as a child, like the first thing like kids do, they draw and they doodle and they doodle on the wall. So I think like
I could only make a house
doodling.
and then the little mountains in the back.
Well, I think you could like anybody could always like there's so many YouTube videos if you want to learn how to draw something, how you want to learn how to paint something. There's also like classes all over Miami, like figure drawing classes. But I think just for like yourself, like doodling and like writing and like if you can't draw, you can also do like collage stuff, cut out pictures, like a vision board, like
Yeah,
right there.
I love those.
Oh my god, I think my vision boards are very powerful. I'm like,
I'm there
oh
with
my
you.
god, take it down.
Yes.
Like I put one time I wanted twins, and then I'm like, oh my god, like everything else was happening. The
And
visual
you're
was
like,
take
take
it
it
down,
down,
take
take
it
it.
down.
I changed my
And my
mind.
friend was laughing at me, and I'm like, oh my god, it's too powerful.
I love that.
But yeah, like vision boards, like
Yeah.
the visual and like that, like for the art therapy, I think would be great if you say you can't like draw something you want to draw. Then there's collages, just like the images and putting that
Yeah.
together, like that's art.
That's
Thinking about
true.
where things
That's
go and
true.
stuff like that, placing them and
Yeah. Accessing your creative side, I guess.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Whatever that means for anybody. That's so true.
Mm.
Yeah. There's always a way.
Yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
forms of art, like writing too. Writing is an art therapy.
Yeah. So we briefly talked about you being a teacher. How do you balance both of those?
um, I don't know. It's a funny because well, I've had really great principals that just like give me the time off that I need for like an interview, let's say, or like a
Mm-hmm.
project that they won't they'll just encourage it,
Mm-hmm.
which is surprising. I've had great principals like that. And also I have very good time management where like I just have to schedule myself.
Yeah.
Like I try to just do one big project a month. This month's been crazy and like they all collided. Um, but that doesn't normally happen. So yeah, I try to do like one big project a month, and I have to be like selective and choose things that I'm very passionate about, things that I care about a lot. Because that before when I was single and whatever, and I would do everything, like do everybody's, you know, pet portrait and like charity, but like now I just can't. I wish that I could, but
Right.
because of like my kids and like my teaching and that like I have to just be like more selective and
That makes
just to
sense.
choose things that I'm really passionate about. Be more like selective with that.
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Um, what advice would you have for parents that want to bring art into their children's lives?
Oh, well, we live in a great place, Miami, that there's
Mm-hmm.
just art everywhere now. So I think like on my Instagram, SMK, what is SMK Art Magnet?
We'll link
I
it
think it's
down
SNA Art
below just to
Magnet.
make sure it's the right
I've
one.
been posting like things for kids, like for art kids that are like going around that are happening in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many like free events like Win 317. Every time there's a show, they usually have like like a drawing class. The graffiti museum also like every Sunday I believe they have a free drawing class for kids under 13. What else I saw? But yeah, Winwood Walls also has like painting and drawing and classes there. every week. So there's like a lot of outside things.
Yeah.
And then there's of course like Super Blue and like things that come by like in museums and just exposing them to art, walking around, going to art walks, all of that we have all over our city all the time. There's like too many.
Yeah,
Just
we're lucky
exposing them. We're
now
so lucky now. You
because
know, growing up there wasn't it didn't
yeah,
exist.
back when I was growing up, we didn't. I don't
Mm-mm.
remember
There wasn't. It was just clubs.
having things.
It's like a party place.
It was
What
just
we?
clubs that we couldn't get into because we weren't of age.
So
Yeah,
yeah, that was it. So now there's so many free events, so many great events. They have also like artists open where like the all the art studios will open up and you can visit them and talk to the artists. And then Art Basel, of course, is
yes,
crazy.
that's the
So
only one I
there's
remember actually
yeah
from
yeah like that's a big
back
one.
in the way,
That's like a big
back in the
one.
day, and the Coconut Grove.
Yeah, the Coconut
Yeah,
Grove Art Festival.
that's it.
So there's like so many like that going on all the time, and I'm gonna try to post all the ones that I find so that they can be exposed. Just expose them. Yeah, take them, let
Right.
them talk to the artists, ask them why they do the work that they do. Most artists, especially, they love talking to kids and like, because like I think we're like big kids. You get to like still
You get
do.
to paint
Yeah, you get to
all
color
day.
and paint and,
Oh my
and
god,
draw. So
that's so fun.
it is really fun.
That's yeah.
And my husband's like, that's not a job, and I'm like, this is not my fault. My job is fun.
It is if you make it.
Yeah.
It is if someone pays me. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Because not only like it's so much fun to like make the art, but also like all the people that like I've met through the art. All the places it's taken me, all the people I've met, like all the people I've worked with, like like DC Comics, and like I met like celebrities, and like I've gone to really cool like parties, and like being around like very creative,
Yeah.
amazing people, like being with you, like
Oh,
it's just
I
like
wouldn't say I'm creative, Diana, but I'll take it.
but it's just like so cool, like all the doors
Yeah.
that's open, all the like even with like politicians, like just it's like art is connected to everything.
Everybody loves art and
Yeah.
benefits from just looking at a nice piece,
Mhm.
like your work. Like I see it and I'm immediately in a good mood. Like I'm like, oh my God,
Thank
that's so
you.
pretty. Okay, I feel good now.
Yeah, and I'm doing something with like crosswalks with the like little Havana, and like I just the community. So like all the people that I've met, and like it's like I fall in love with Miami even more because I
Yeah.
know all the people in like different fields. All like I know, so it's just like it's a beautiful career. It's a beautiful thing to do.
Right.
It's for the community. It's like it's awesome. So like the
Yeah.
doors that's open, all the people I've met, it's just it's beyond just making the art, like how great it is.
Right. And you mentioned how Miami has changed over the years.
Mhm.
What's your favorite part of this new phase that we're entering into?
Well, definitely the art. I feel like it was
Yeah,
missing that. I always
I
wanted to go to
agree.
New York. I'm like, oh, Miami has nothing, no art here. I'm gonna go to New York,
I
and now
know. It
everybody's
felt
moving
like it
here.
was lame. Like growing up here, if you
Like
were,
very shallow.
yeah, like everybody just cared about, I don't know, their car and their cell
Yeah,
phone.
their cars and like
Yeah,
going to parties, and that was it. But
right.
now there's like
And now we have art, we have
yeah.
artists and writers
Yeah,
and
there's so much more. Like there's so much there's like shows, right? Like there's like people are coming
move
in.
over New York.
Yeah,
We
people are
we are we're
moving
here.
here. So at that, like the culture, like the art
Yeah.
culture was missing, and I love that. Like I take my kids everywhere all the time. I went to the Van Gogh thing recently,
Yes. How was it? Did you
So
like it?
yeah, it was cute. It was nice seeing it like really large, and my kids running around and just exposing them to Van Gogh in such a big way.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, that's the
Yeah.
way. That's
So
the
I
way
I
to do
love
it.
I love that. That now that's always happen. There's always like art stuff happening and
Right.
music stuff happening.
That's
The
true.
artist just like brought everything else too.
Yeah. Which is why art is so important. And it's such a
Hmm.
shame that it doesn't seem to be given its place in our education system.
Yeah,
It's,
and it's just like I think like ignorance, like they don't know.
yeah.
But I feel like, I mean they see like what I'm things that I'm doing, and like the doors is open for me. So I'm hoping like that they could see like through my
Yeah.
life that like how cool it is, how awesome it is, how like
Right.
life changing it is, not just for me, but like all the people around. How like
Exactly.
I can, because of like people loving my art, now I can help like charities that I care
Mhm.
about, and like donate a piece or do something with them and then raise money for their cause. So like that like power, that influence, like to be used to help the world, like that's amazing. That's why my shirt that we have is like art is my superpower, the one that they're
Oh
coloring.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
So like it's just amazing, and and I think people just don't know. Like my
Mhm.
parents didn't know. They're always like, no,
Right.
no, you're gonna be poor, and it's like I know friends that have had to quit their like nursing jobs because like they're making so much more money in art, and they just couldn't. It
That's
wasn't,
incredible. Good
you
for
know,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like
And art encompasses so much, right? Because you have to do math and you
yeah,
have to do all
we're doing
these.
math,
Yeah,
measuring, yeah,
you do. Like, I wouldn't know how to translate something like your sketch on paper onto the wall. Like,
yeah.
and proportions and the whole thing. There's a lot that goes into it, and
I
it's a
know
shame
a lot
that.
of problem solving is constant, which I love the
Yes.
problem solving part, like puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like constant problem solving because things always go wrong, or there'll be rain, or there'll be something, you
Yeah.
know, um, you're missing paints, and how do you make that color? You have to do like science, like
Oh my
combining
goodness.
colors. So
That's
it's
true.
like a lot. It's great.
That's true. So how did you navigate COVID in your classroom with
Well, I had to be, well, I was on in person.
you were in
I
person?
was an in-person teacher, yeah.
Ooh,
So we had to wear masks.
you brave
And
woman.
I know. We had to wear masks, and I was in person. It was very few kids. Like my classes were like 7 kids, like 10 kids.
Mm,
So we made the well, I think that we bonded. Like all the teachers that were in person and the kids that were in person, I feel like we have this special like bond of like
yeah.
we went through something really,
I
really
mean,
hard, very
yes,
traumatic,
for
you know?
sure.
So also there was such small classes, we got like really close, and I got to like really know the parents, really know the kids. And the same thing I do now, just try to make like the best out of the
Yeah.
situation. So we really like just I got to know each other like more than I would with like 20. Like now I have 25 kids, I
Right.
have more kids. So
I'm
it's
sure your
like
class helped so much, like being able to
I
express
yeah, I
themselves.
hope so.
I'm sure it
I wanted
did
that to
because,
be
yeah,
that like light,
right.
kind of like that's what you get lost in art, that
Mm-hmm.
like you forget that. And that's like if you look at like art history, like all the times that there was like war or like really bad things is when art shines. That's when
Yes.
like all like the new styles come out, the new artists, like the new like things, just art like shines in that dark place. And maybe that's why we have that gift, to like do it, music and art, and
Right.
all of that comes out in like the worst times in
Yeah.
history. So
Yeah, we've always had the need to create, right? Like, what's the oldest cave painting? It's like thousands of years old.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
It's old, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's such a good point that you make. It's usually in our worst times
Yeah.
when we really need that something.
Mhm.
So I'm sure your class was that like little glimmer of
Yeah.
hope.
I mean, I tried really hard because I had the honor to teach in person with like that was the first time teaching art magnet. So I was like, okay, like I finally get to teach these kids that love art. And I got some letters from parents that were like beautiful. Beautiful. I framed it
Oh my
because just like
god.
saying like how being their teacher has like impacted like their kid, and how like their kid sees art different, because even though maybe the kid's not gonna pursue art, not be an
Hmm.
artist, but like just having that appreciation, that love for
Yeah.
art, that love for and for beauty and
Right.
art, and that just is
Yeah.
instilled in them, and like that's what I care about. Because like
Right.
you don't have to be an artist to be an art lover and art
Right.
supporter, and
And reap
like
the
yeah, and reap
benefits.
the benefits.
Yeah,
So
because like you mentioned before, you something happens when you see art that speaks to you, or when you create something, even if it's just for you and no one else will
mm-hmm.
see it. There's something in your brain
Yeah.
and your heart just gets better. That's so cool. That's so
So I
awesome.
framed the letter. I'm like, this is so beautiful, and it was written by like famous author too. Like the father's a
Oh
famous author.
yeah?
Oh, maybe not Leo, not Leo. Pablo. My son is Leo. Pablo Cartaya.
He
Pablo
sounds familiar, yes. But he hasn't come on the podcast.
He should come on the podcast.
He should come on the podcast.
Pablo,
where are you?
He wrote this beautiful letter that I framed.
Oh my
and he's
God.
like an author. So, and his son is awesome.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
I was like, whenever I feel
because
down,
as a teacher,
whenever I feel down as a teacher, I'm gonna read that letter and be like,
absolutely, because
okay,
I mean, it's not like you're getting paid a lot.
No one becomes a teacher to get paid.
Exactly.
No one.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a teacher, or she was a teacher. She has a shirt that says, "I'm here for the fame and the money." And I always thought that was so funny. I'm like, that's such a good shirt, because that's absolutely the opposite. Like, you never get those two things.
No. And the funny thing is, I did this mural for the movie Suicide Squad, and I was with like Will Smith and like Margot Robbie on the red carpet, like very fancy, very Hollywood. And the next day I'm at school with like my kids being jerks or whatever, not getting out of their seat, like things like that. And I'm just like, it's such a contrast. It's such a
real life.
Yeah, it's such a double life that I would say, like, I'm a teacher by day and like a street artist by night. It's a different, completely different.
Well,
lifestyle.
Kudos to you for like staying though, because I would have been like, okay, you guys, I'm out of here.
I know. It's just like, I guess like it is a little bit scary to like that stability of like the paycheck where. With art, like that hustle, and I'm just like, God, maybe I won't.
And I can tell you love it though. You
I
love to teach. Like your face changes when you talk about your class.
Yeah,
and you get like a little sparkle in your eye when you talk about your students.
Yeah, they're so. I think they know that. I think, I hope so.
I think they do. I'll speak for the one I know, and he loves it.
Oh yeah,
he loves your class. He loves it. So whatever you're doing, it's working.
Yeah, I was feeling like a little bit like overwhelmed because there's so many like administrative stuff. There's so much stuff to do.
Yeah.
And like a friend that used to teach our magnet was like, you know what? Like, you are just enough. Just like your presence of being like just an inspiring person and being like loving what you like, loving art. Like that is like being around the kids. Yeah. A person like that, being around the kids like that is like enough. It's like, oh my gosh, another thing I need to print, like put on my wall. Because it can get so hard, like, so many people leave now. So there's too many teachers they don't last.
It's a lot to deal with. And it's never the kids. It's everything else. Like I used to tell people, this is the only profession I can think of where all the variables are out of your control. Everything is out of your control, but yet you're responsible for everything.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't do all these things I want to do, but then like I'm supposed to have this very special, amazing program that I'm not even allowed to like do all this stuff. But but the kids, it's never the kids. They're great.
Yeah. No, it's everything else, It's if they're having a tough time at home or something as simple as they didn't have dinner the night before and there was or no breakfast because they're going through a tough time. And here you are telling them that they need to care about, I know. When their tummies are empty, and it's tough.
I used to give, when I was teaching before, I used to give them like my lunch.
Yeah.
They were like hungry and like, oh my God, like here, like just eat my food.
Yeah.
We were like, they're their mom for like.
Being a teacher is so difficult. Kids. And then have you ever come across somebody that tells you, oh, but you guys, you get the summers off?
Oh, yeah, but they don't know.
Like, do you understand that if it wasn't for those summers, we would lose our minds?
Yeah.
You literally need to go away for a couple of weeks and gather yourself because it's so much.
Yeah, I used to like, now I can't sleep, but before I had kids, I would like after school would end, I would sleep for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Just my body would just like, like, wow, just to like, recuperate from all the stress and stuff that you would carry and all the kids like that were like trying to help
emotionally. It's a lot because even if you try to separate and leave it there, you can only do so much.
Yeah,
it's tough, but I think your class is amazing.
Thank you.
And they're lucky to have you because I mean, can you imagine having art class as a little kid and your teacher being an actual artist that knows what she's talking about, those kids are super lucky.
Oh, I don't know if they know, like they really understand,
Even if they don't, but the fact that they're getting
Yeah,
this
yeah.
knowledge,
Somebody like,
you know what I
yeah, I really
mean?
love.
Like somebody that actually
Like, I'm doing it,
knows.
guys. You gotta listen. I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're still teaching.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
And whenever the time comes, I'm sure you'll know. You'll know the right time.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah, this is finally my dream job.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally after like 15 years, this is I finally
You made it.
I made it.
You made it.
So yeah, I can't wait till pandemic is over so I can like do the field trips and like do all the fun things that normally it happens,
Right. On a regular school year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's so cool. So any future plans that you want to share?
Future plans. I have so many. I want to travel
Mm-hmm.
and do some more like international murals. I'm doing a mural in Mexico at the Akuma Mural Festival in March, I believe. Or sorry, January.
Oh, even closer.
Yeah,
That's
in
awesome.
January. And then I'm supposed to do a Panama Mural Fest in March. And so yeah, just
Have you ever done any work in Peru?
I want to. No.
Can you
I haven't.
imagine how
Yeah,
cool that
yeah.
would be?
I know they have
Ooh.
like I heard they have a really great like female art scene there, like a street art
Really?
female art scene.
Wow.
So I definitely want to go over there. I
That's
know
so-
like
Have
like
you ever
two
been
other.
back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I went back was 2015. And then I got married and I had the kids and I was like I want to bring the kids over in 2020 and that's when everything went crazy. So and right now, they're it's really bad over there with COVID.
Yeah.
It's very bad.
Do you still have family there?
All my family's there. Just like my immediate family, like my parents are here, my brother,
Yeah.
but like my grandparents, my cousins, my uncles, they're all over there, and it's really bad. It's really bad. It's third world country,
tough. Yeah.
So I don't know. We won't be able to go over there, especially with the kids. I want the kids to see
Absolutely.
Peru and like I want them to see how other people live, their family, and like my nieces and nephews, their parents would take them to Peru every summer.
Oh my
So they
god,
like
that's such an amazing
yeah,
experience.
like I want to do that and like have them visit. And my husband's from the Dominican Republic, so like go to DR one summer, like go to to like and we're teachers, so we can have the whole summer to be over
He's
there.
a teacher as well.
No, but we're well. I mean, I'm
I
a teacher.
thought you meant okay.
I thought I remember that you're not teaching anymore, but I was like, we're a teacher.
Yeah. No, right. I get it.
But yeah, to go over there and see what their roots and their family, and then also be grateful for like how we're living here.
Yeah.
Compared to like there,
That's a whole other kind of.
That's a whole other.
It's true. I feel like you don't appreciate what you have until you see what other people don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
because like I was
incredible.
born there and I go there and visit, so like I know. But like my husband was born in New York and he like never gone.
He's never
like,
gone
a
to
place
Dominican
like
Republic.
Like
Not
a
really.
cruise, like a
The
resort
tourist version.
The tourist version.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like to see a country and like to be with the locals, I think it's like a totally different experience, and you really appreciate what you have, and like you really get to see the people. Because like I went to like India.
Oh
and
wow!
It was like so cool. It was the most
goodness.
exotic.
That's a trip I want to
Yeah,
make.
it's incredible. It's incredible.
That's so cool.
I went for a wedding, and then I stayed there for like 3 weeks.
You're so lucky. 'Cause don't they have like the best weddings? I've heard.
They have really cool weddings, but the wedding I went to was a Christian wedding, so it wasn't like that. I know they were like they think it's cooler because they're from India, so they want to have like a more like American wedding.
Okay,
that's what they always they're used to that. So yeah, it was cool, but I was still in India and I saw like everything else. And
did you get to see the Taj Mahal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness!
Of course, I have to go. If I want to be in India, I have to.
You have
see
to,
everything.
Right?
And like I rode the camel and the elephant and the Taj Mahal, and I took like a miniature drawing class. Like everything that you could possibly do, I like did. I went to like the Buddha temples. I went everywhere. It was so cool. It was so cool. So I love, and I miss traveling. And like, I want my husband to to see that and my kids to see that, and because it's like it
Yeah.
changes you when you travel.
It really makes you more well-rounded, I think, as a
Yeah.
person, for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's another thing too that I love about like street artists is that they travel a lot, travel all over the world. So they're like a lot like more friendlier and like well rounded and down to earth than like a gallery, like somebody that's just like in the galleries, and
Yeah.
somebody that travels the world and they like
Like
have met so
are they
many
more
people.
approachable, like
Yeah,
street artists?
definitely they're more approachable.
That's so interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, somebody just brought that up to me recently. I'm like,
Hmm.
you're right. That's why they're so like
That's
cool.
so
So when you
interesting.
go
Yeah,
to
they
like
because they're living in the real world. They're
yeah,
not, and like I'm just having like an aha moment. Like they're in the street, being part
yes,
of life as they
yeah,
do their art. They're
yes,
not confined to this bubble.
yeah. They're out in different parts of the world, you know.
That is
So you're
so
always meeting
interesting.
different people. You're always like it's really cool. And when I did a mural festival, it's called Babe Walls, and it was in Denver, and it was like all female, and it was like super cool, and everybody was so nice over there, and just like I love the community of street art is
Mm.
that they all travel all over, and then you meet each other again like in another country, in another state, and
That's
you're like
so cool.
family, you know, because like when you travel to you bond
Yeah, you're
even
having an
more.
experience that
Exactly. You're
not
having
everybody's
exactly together. So that
having.
bonds you. So then you go like years later, you see that person again, like in, another city. And it's like so cool. Like, oh my God, it feels like family, feels like home. So I love that too, that like that part of the street art life.
Yeah.
Love it. I usually do it in the summers.
Oh my God. Are you gonna do that this summer as well?
I want to. I want to.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. I love it. I love it so much. I love taking my friends, my family. We've gone with my family traveling to mural festivals, and my son helps me like rolling and painting.
God.
He's good. He's really good.
That's so cute.
It's so
I
cute.
can't
It's
imagine
so
how you
cute.
get any work done. I would
I
just be staring
know.
at him the whole time.
I
Like,
know. Well, like I know he like sometimes it makes me work more because he like messed something up that I didn't want. But it's just like that experience of being together and like doing that, and like it's just beautiful. It's worth it. I'll work on it
yeah.
longer, you
That's so,
know.
and those are just memories and moments that he's
Yeah.
gonna remember forever.
Yeah.
That's so like who else can say they did that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
growing up, like, oh yeah, I was just painting a mural for my mom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everyone else is doing like refrigerator art.
Yeah, yeah. He went to like DC. He was painting with me there. He loves to paint, both of them. If they see me painting, they want to paint, and I let them. My art has become more abstract because of them. More free, more abstract. It's
They're
fine.
forcing you to navigate new
Yeah, yeah.
styles.
But I love it though. Like I leave it. It's like the best part of the art for me. It's
Oh
like
my
their
god.
little like brush strokes that they did on like a corner. So like
Aww.
if you see like my show had just finished, but I have like work with like their little markings that I left
So you
there.
work around it. You don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's so cool. That's so interesting because I would think that like for something like that, you're so worried about each little, part and being perfect. I
yeah,
love that you're like, oh, I'm just gonna work
yeah,
around it and it's
yeah,
staying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I always like I told like the kids like, oh, it's a beautiful oops, just like go with it. Like we made, I think it was Zachary that
Mhm.
somebody had spilled water.
He's a perfectionist
Yes, he is.
for sure.
So somebody had spilled. He finished his work. He was like the first one. Somebody spilled like water, and it fell on his like the water cup fell and it
I
fell
can
on his
just imagine
art.
his face.
And then like his he did little like light bulbs because for like a holiday card, little light bulbs, and the water like spread the paint so it looked like it glows. And I'm like, oh my God, Zachary, look, the lights are glowing. And then like all the kids started doing it to their art and started like adding
Aww.
water and making like their light glow so that little oops, like that mistake became like the best part of the
Teachable
work, and
moment.
everybody was following that. Everybody started doing that to their work. So it's like I want to teach them that because like I don't that you want to be perfect, and like but life isn't like that.
Hmm.
So it's like just it's a beautiful oops now
Yeah.
look, so that teachable moment, and like that also freed me when I was
Right.
an artist because I was very perfectionist. Like everything was like I was so slow, making
And that
everything
limits
perfect, and that
you.
limits you, and it becomes it doesn't become fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, and it's not sustainable.
Yeah, it's
Because
not sustainable.
how for how long can you keep being perfect up? It's
So like losing that fear of like being so perfect, just I think that also helps me with my art. Like just create and not worry about perfection, and just there's no, I always say there's no mistakes in art, and like let's keep going, and we'll paint over it, we'll change it to something like that you don't have to be afraid to mess it
yeah.
up. So that's a big
And
thing
that's
that
a
I
life
learned.
lesson
That's a life
too.
lesson, yeah.
That's a life
But
lesson.
that's also like what helped me with my art, like not to be afraid of messing up,
Right.
letting go of that fear. Because I remember also painting live. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it because what if I mess up and then people see it, and then my friend told me like, well, they're gonna see how you fix it, and then they're gonna be like, oh wow, it's even more impressive. I was like, wow, I never thought of that, like to see how I can like change that. So yeah, not being afraid of messing up. It's
Yeah.
freedom.
It's true. I couldn't have said it better myself. You're giving me so many lessons that I need to work on. Forget the kids. These are things that I need to work on. Because I'm definitely a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And it is very limiting. Like I find myself thinking like, I'm not even going to do that because this part is not going to work out.
Yeah.
And
I used to
then,
be like that too.
yeah, it's crippling.
Yeah. I wouldn't even turn in my work because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not an A. It's not a perfect paper. Like, I can't. So I would get
Yeah.
like a 0 instead of a C.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. It's like, just give me the F. I don't want the embarrassment
yes.
of
And
not
I would never do
perfection.
like the debates. I would never public speak. I would never.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because that's like people's number one fear.
It is. It was.
It's people fear public speaking over dying. It's
I was gonna say over sharks. So that was my second fear. First fear was public speaking.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was terrible. And I had to for my career. Like
mm-hmm.
I had to start like
And you miss out on so
speaking.
much if you don't speak up and engage with other people. It gets lonely, especially as an adult, because as a kid you're like, whatever, somebody will talk to me eventually, but as an adult, nobody will talk to you if you don't talk to them.
Yeah. Well, I'm having my students do art critiques. So they stand up there and they talk about their art, and the kids ask questions. It's so cool. I'm getting them like
I
ready,
love it.
ready. So whenever they're when it's gonna be easy when they get older, they're gonna know how to talk about their art,
and that gives them so much confidence to be able to voice their opinions.
Yeah, and why they did something. I like no, they're good.
And defend their choices.
Yes, defending their choices. I'm impressed. Like, oh wow, like now I look at the art so much different. Now I'm like, wow, I like it much better now that you explained than before.
The meaning of the paperclip.
Yeah,
that's so
yeah, because I had a huge fear of that and I hated it and it was terrible. So I'm trying to break them early. Like, let's do this.
Yeah. And now you have to talk to like all these big name people.
Oh, yeah. Now I get paid to talk. And now I get paid. I've done like public speaking and like,
I love it.
It's such a I never would have thought because I was terrified. I would get the 0. I would get sick. I wouldn't go to school. Everything to avoid it.
Did you like shake and have like
the
cold
up.
sweat?
Yeah, sweat and just feel like throwing up. It was really bad.
Yeah. I can relate.
So then, yeah, I mean, there was a period where I was like, I need to face all my fears. I don't want to be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
And public speaking was one of them. I would never say yes to this 10 years ago.
Really?
Never.
Oh my God.
So
I'm so happy you said yes.
Yeah. Now I'm like, yes. I'm gonna say yes to especially things like that I'm afraid of. I don't want to be afraid of anything. So
yeah,
I do them. And crazy enough, like now I've gotten paid for public speaking. So weird. Which was my biggest fear.
That just goes to show you it's no limits because you never know. You never know. That's so interesting.
And everybody has a story, like everybody has something to say, to bring to the table. So
yeah,
I used to think like, oh, I have nothing, I have nothing. What am I gonna say? I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And then you start talking, and you're like, oh wow, like I do know about this subject, or I do know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I used to tell the kids all the time too. Like, the fact that you're here just makes you somebody that has a point of view.
Yeah, that point of view, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's like very unique.
And it
Everyone
may
has their
not be
own.
right, but who cares?
Yeah.
You know, it's yours, and you can change it if you want to, and you can keep it if you feel like, you know, it fits you and what your thought process is.
Yeah, now
So
I like kind of love it,
yeah,
you know?
it's
Kind of love
you
like,
get hooked,
right?
right? Like once you break through that wall, that fear of like
Yeah.
public speaking and what people are gonna think about what I said,
Yeah.
you're like, I have so much to say.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Even in Spanish, that I'm like, oh my God, like I don't know how to speak Spanish well, and like this is in Spanish. Like I think my first interview was in Spanish,
Oof.
and I was like, and then I thought of like Sofia Vergara or people that like don't know English so
Yeah,
well,
that's such a
and they
good
still did it,
point.
and it was like they were still themselves, and if they mess up a word, okay, said it in Spanish,
Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna like go for it, and I did.
that's
You know,
such a
and then
good
every
point.
time it just gets easier and easier, and like you said, like I kind of love it now. You know, like I did a like just like even like toasts. Like I won't like look for them, but if somebody makes me do it, like my cousin, my brother was like trying to put me on the spot, like, okay, you do a toast that I didn't know that was happening.
Oh my
And I
god.
just, spoke from my heart, and like everybody started crying. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even
And that
like
wasn't even
write. That
planned.
wasn't even planned. And then my brother did one after me, and his was like, it was like, okay, like mine had hearts.
Hmm.
Mine was from the heart. Yours was
You are
like,
a natural. That's so crazy and fun.
so yeah.
I
So
love
now I
that.
kind of love it. I'm like, debate class? Can I take your class?
Oh my god. Yeah. I was the same growing up. I hated public speaking. And then, you know, when I started going to college, that my major was you know, literature, I I don't know how I got wrapped up into public speaking, but somehow I did, and I figured like, okay, I really hate it and I feel like I'm going to pass out. And that's actually how I started one of my speeches. Like I was like, okay, you guys, like I'm really having a tough time. If something happens to me, call call my mother. And everybody just started laughing,
And that
and it
breaks the ice.
completely like I released such pressure, and I was like, okay, let me
Yeah,
just
just be real.
moved on, and yeah, and then I became a debate coach,
That's
and
so cool.
yeah, and a lot of my kids, to this day, I get I was gonna say emails. They don't email anymore. DMs or whatever. Like, hey, do you remember when you made me do this? Now I have to do it for work, and you know, I'm so glad that it's not my
It's
first
so
time.
important. It's so important
Yeah,
to be able to speak, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Even if it's just like in a board meeting, you need to be able to not be intimidated by somebody sitting there. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have something to say, you need to be able to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved
Mm-hmm.
that part of teaching. I loved it a lot. Yeah, it was fun. And now I'm like a chatterbox. Like somebody shut me up. No, I can't stop. So just to close off, because like you're a very busy lady, you have like a million jobs. Um, any final words of wisdom for kids and art and that whole thing?
Kids at art. I think I think like have no fear, and if you're scared, like do it scared.
We need a shirt. Like I feel like we need like that should be a slogan for you for your.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's so
that's like a thing
true.
that like
Do
I
it
tell myself,
scared.
just do it
Yeah,
scared.
it'll be
You know,
fine.
yeah. It's helped me in my life so much. It's changed my life.
So when I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking like, what could people get out of listening to an artist? But now I'm like, I got so much out of listening to you. This was for me.
Yay!
No, I'm kidding. Like, I'm sure everyone will get a lot out of it, but I got so much out of it. I feel
Oh,
like this was a therapy session,
awesome!
Diana.
Awesome!
Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing all the amazing things that you're going to accomplish.
Thank
And
you.
Miami's lucky to have you.
Thank
And
you.
you're spearheading our art scene.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank you.
to everybody listening or watching, We will have Diana's information linked down below so you can check her out and show her some love because you're so, so talented and I love your art, and I'm sure whoever sees it will feel the same way. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.